Whoa! Hi, guys. It has been a hot minute. How is everybody doing? Wow. Just wow. So, today, bom dia. Wow. So, hi. It's been a while, and I think that I may need a little bit of an introduction. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I used to stream on here religiously. Like at least once a week I was on here. My name is Steven Anderson. You may know me online as SMAARTIST, SMA artist, combination of my initials and the word artist. And I currently work on the Overwatch dev team, and that's going to be kind of the where I pull my inspiration from for today's stream. Now, what I like to do personally, I'd like to do a ton of different stylized characters. I like to really push my style, and I'm going to start by kind of pulling in my Hanzo design that I did, and we're gonna add them to Spotlight. Let's get stuff kind of set up and ready here so that we can have everything working nicely. But yeah, so this is my version of Hanzo. Um, just have fun with it, right? So what I want to do is I want to take this design, try to translate it into 3D. I know for a fact that there are things that are not going to translate very well and that are going to be very difficult, but we're going to try to get through as much of what we can see here in today's stream. We don't have a ton of time. We have somebody streaming, I believe, at 11 o'clock. So I've got to get off of here, you know, before stuff happens. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick with Dynamesh today, and we're going to just have fun and go at it. So let's see kind of where we go. Feel free to hit me up in chat if you have questions or comments or jokes, or if you want to send chocolate. Chocolate's great. And then, yeah, gosh, that's it for now. I'm a little bit sick today too, so if I mute myself temporarily to not cough in your ear, hopefully hopefully I remember to unmute myself, and hopefully I can mute myself in time. I don't know, right? All that stuff. So let's jump into this. Let's see kind of where we're at. I am going to start this. In fact, let's go ahead and let's grab some of this. I'm going to flatten the sides of the head a little bit. Y si hablan español y quieren preguntarme algo o quieren comentar algo, como te voy a entender y te voy a poder responder también. Así que como querés. Alright, that's gonna be really, really narrow, but we're gonna play with it and fiddle around until we get what we want. Okay, so we're gonna take that, just gonna control, click, and drag, and make sure they're different poly groups. I'm not worried about jumping into Dynamesh right away, but we're gonna kind of play around with this and see what we can get. Let's see, let's go ahead and make it, let's make this taper. I hate that it does that. Let's see, let's turn off we... Okay, golly. There we go. I feel like sometimes I just can't even. I can only odd. Somebody made that joke one time and I thought it was really funny. It's probably funnier to me than it is to anybody else, but it's okay. It's okay. Here we go. I'm going to test something real quick. Nope, it doesn't look like it's working. Oh well. I am not a Hanzo main. Tractor sound, huh? Do we have like weird sound going through right now? Let me check it out. I'm actually a support main, so let's see if we can. Nope. Maybe you're hearing something then that I was not. Although my voice might sound like a tractor at some point or another during the stream, and that's going to be not great. All right. Okay, so here we go. Let's try to grab this. I have my... Hello, India. How you doing, Sakat? That's a cool name. My name's like super vanilla. But don't tell my dad I said that. I mean, it's his name. But you know, he gave it to me, so you know, it's my name. I don't know, you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean. It used to be okay, so the hardest thing about this design is going to be getting those eyes to work. I have another character that I had started doing. Let me kind of pull it up because it's a fun one. Oh, now I gotta remember. Do I have it under... Nope, I don't have it underneath that. Samurai guy. There we go. Hey, I don't know why it zoomed back up already. Samurai guy right here. So this is one that I started doing. Oh, his helmet's gone. This is one that I started doing as part of a demo for class that I teach at Nomen for stylized character creation. And of course, like the materials are all like misaligned. If that ever happens, you just come in here. You can go to Subtool Master, hit Fill, and hit Material, and voila, it's so much better. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, so big eyes, you know, kind of a flat face. You know, trying to play with that that shape and the structure and the volume and things like that. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different with Hanzo. I don't think that that's going to work quite the same, but we'll see kind of where we end up. So I'm trying to get most of the main elements in here represented. Let's see about getting... Aye. I'm gonna grab this little corner right here. I know this isn't like perfectly like Hanzo is typically. Hanzo has like this very pronounced crease under his like between his brow and his actual bridge of his nose. Um, but you know, you do what you do, right? It's just one of those things that certain characteristics you either choose to diminish or to hold on to based on what feels like it's going to pay off for the design and be beneficial overall. I didn't feel like that was one that I was going to be able to hold on to. Oops. Oh, and exciting news, guys. Um, so before going to Overwatch, I worked on a little TikTok sound coming from the background now. That's awesome. um, the show that I worked on at Marvel before I went to Overwatch. That's where I was before I came to Overwatch. I was working on a show called Eyes of Wakanda, and it's coming out on Friday. I am so unbelievably stoked. I have been waiting for this to come out for a couple of years now. Um, oh, guys, the show was such a blast to work on, and it's so beautifully handled. Like I can't even. It's so good. Um, and I can't wait for people to be able to see it. It's so neat. Okay, so we're gonna kind of just block things in there for a second. This is super wrong, and it's like super caved in. We're gonna see kind of like what we do with it here in a minute. Um, but yeah, here's what we're gonna do. Like the whole head shape, everything's like super wrong. Um, but here's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and grab this. I'm going to kind of even it out some. Let's grab. Let's move infinite depth here. Let's get some good shaping happening in here, because I definitely don't like the shape of what I had. So we want to try to kind of play with the form here. I think like with that lower part of the face. Um, yes, I currently work on Overwatch. That's my job. I'm a character supervisor. I work with all the different skins. We're on a small elite team, and we get to work with so many different awesome people around the world who help us create all the various skins that we put out every season. Super crazy. Love it. Uh, so yeah, here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this to make a form here. I do feel like this is going to need to probably come down some. And then, ooh, let's grab this. Let's invert that. We're going to kind of pull this up and in. So this is kind of wrapping around. I feel like that's going to help create that initial structure. And that'll be pretty cool. Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, my friend Ying made that one. It was super good. Um, I mean, she moved on. She went to. She decided she wanted to go to a different team. um, but we stay in contact. She's super cool. She is super cool, and she also did the Overwatch 2 version of Diva. She also did. Um, you think 2D image is not accurate from the view? Not sure what you mean by that. Um, it's just 2D. 2D is one of those things that there are different cheats, and you kind of gotta do what you can to make things work. If you're trying to translate something into 3D, like it's always hard to figure out like everything. But yeah, anyway. Got a cough again. Bah. Okay. So one of the things that I love doing, and this is like my absolute top tip for anything, is I like to use the timeline to be able to mark my my camera views, and I like to be able to line it up with the concept. So that was weird. Okay, I'm gonna put that more or less over there. Let's grab this, kind of change that opacity down. And let's say save spotlight because I want to make sure that I can get back to this. Okay, Hanzo. I haven't made anything, any files. This hasn't been saved yet. Nothing. So, you know, gotta get things saved, right? My ArtStation name. Here, let's get you some links. Because I do have some of those things. I'll give you my link in bio. How about that? So if you go to that link in bio, I should have put that in the description. I totally forgot it. But yeah, that should have link to everything: Instagram, ArtStation, etc., etc., etc. You know. So yeah, it's fun. I super enjoy what I do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab this. We're going to try to align it about where we feel like it, where the image is. Something about maybe zoom out a little bit. And you can see it's not perfect, but you know, part of our task is making sure that we can align the mesh. So it's going to be about right there. I'm going to use that as kind of my base point, and we're going to try to align things up. Align things up. Okay, so we're getting something like that. The chin kind of needs to come out. Chin. The jaw line here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab this. We're going to say, let's pull this out here. I'm going to make it kind of like pull back more than pull out. And then I also want to kind of pronounce that jawline a little bit better. Okay, cool. Let's grab that. Yeah, it's feeling a little bit better already. Still like a lot left to tweak, right? But you know, certainly closer. Kind of align that a little bit more. Let's grab that nose, and it needs to come up. And then I don't like how far out it sticks. But I also have like the center of the face. Thank you so much. I have a lot of fun. Like I'm always experimenting, and I'm always playing and trying to push myself stylistically and really just so many different ways. Okay, let me see if I can get something cool out of this. Okay, it's still super early, but you know, it's kind of how this works. I may have to deviate and kind of get the essence of the nose shape kind of separate from the face, because I feel like if I pull the face any further forward, it's not going to work. So I'm going to leave that there for now. We're going to play with getting that to feel good as we get more elements blocked in, so we'll be able to kind of make things work together. So let's do this. I'm going to kind of get that in there. Let's kind of pull this down. Okay, I know it's like super messy right now, right? Hopefully it's enough to make the secret sauce. It's like it's all about sketching things in at first, and then it's about going through and cleaning it up, right? It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye. Just kidding. Because hopefully nobody will lose an eye during this stream. Especially me. I need them very, very much. Alright. Here we go. Here we go. Is it true that good artists make slower than any other artist to make everything clear and sharp? It's important to be fast as a good artist. That's. Let me see if I understand your question. I tend to go a little bit slower. I don't feel like I'm personally super fast, which can sometimes be a little frustrating. I tend to just allow myself to have space and time to figure out design elements and things like that. But I do know that there are some artists who are very good and very fast. It's kind of like that tripod that you'll often see when people are talking about, charging for work and things like that, right? You'll see that it's either fast and cheap, but it doesn't look good. It's either fast and it looks good, but it's not cheap, or it looks good and it takes a long time, but it doesn't come fast. It's like I don't know. Like there's like that tripod. I can't remember if that's exactly the way that it goes or not, but it's something to that effect, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's always an interesting thing to kind of think about how that stuff really plays out for you. How many people usually work on a character? That's a good question. It depends on the stage, because like there are different people who work on the different stages. So for instance, my job entails giving feedback and drawovers and some model fixes and polish at the end and things like that. But there's somebody else that's working on the skin and actually making the skin. So there's somebody who designs it, there's somebody who makes it, there's somebody who art directs it, there's somebody who rigs it to make it move, there's somebody who does effects on it, there's somebody who animates it, and then there's the person that plays it, right? So I'll say six with like the caveat of the seventh person to be able to play it, right? Definitely feels like that nose got too short now. Yep. So yeah, a lot of people. It definitely takes a village. But super cool, right? I mean, it's one of those things that allows us to work as a team and to get the absolute best possible experience out for the players. Really enjoy working with this team, and it's so good. I'm not telling about you. In some company, there's like a competition that who makes the 3D detailed character very fast. I don't know. I'm not sure what that might be referring to. How do I switch easily between different mesh parts? So right now I'm working with a single subtool, which I've got to save out. It would definitely be frustrating. I'm just gonna call that Hanzo01. I'm gonna duplicate that. Call this face. Face. That way we're working on something that's going to stick around. Working in a single subtool, what I can do is I can like Control Shift tap to be able to isolate a piece. Okay, and that can go for anything, right? Super cool. If I have the gizmo turned on and I hold Control and tap, that'll mask that out. So now it's like I can move that piece around independent of the other pieces. Masking and selection are a couple of like the most powerful tools inside of ZBrush, and I use them all the time. Here, let's see what we can get in here. Let's grab. I'm gonna block in an ear here because ears. This is my all-time favorite technique for ears. It's super simple. I think you'll like it. So I go through, turn on my symmetry, and then flatten it out. Come on. Every once in a while I notice that like I can't get it to select super. I don't know, maybe it's that my elbow hit the mouse or something, but I don't think so. I don't know. It's all weird sometimes. Okay, let's go ahead and grab that Move Infinite Depth. Just kind of move this into place a little bit. Okay, that feels like it's sticking off of his head quite a bit. I want it to be a little bit more streamlined, so I'm gonna take this down. Let's flatten it out, and we'll kind of make it a little bit longer too, just to kind of account for and cover that space. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, bring it back. We'll just kind of smooth it out some. Do something kind of like that. Did I get sidetracked? Was I like talking about something? I do that a lot. What's the max try limit for Overwatch 2? It changed. We're trying to make sure that the game functions as best as possible. So we have the characters down at 37K, okay, for in-game characters. It's super cool. It's amazing what can be done with that kind of poly budget. But then a lot of people will usually change their settings down to like medium or lower, just to be able to optimize frame rate. And so that totally screws with how the characters come across. And then everybody will go through and put the gold mask on and on the weapons, and everybody at work is like, why do they do that? Now they can't even see the textures we did. So yeah, if you ever want to make a dev really happy, don't use the gold mask. Even if you have it. I'm not good enough to get a gold mask. Like I haven't been able to get into competitive. I haven't been able to do any of that. I'm very not good with games. I just work in them. Which is the case with a lot of people, but definitely not for most people. There are a lot of people at work who do a lot of gaming. Okay, I think I have the head in a decent enough spot where I want to start adding in things like the neck, the upper torso, the eyes. The eyes are going to be important because that's going to help me figure out whether or not if we look at the eyes for this guy, you'll notice I was able to keep these as, pretty much spheres. They're a little bit round, a little bit flattened out on the front. Okay. But they fit pretty nicely and they look good. So what we're going to do, and since this isn't intended necessarily to be like, what's it called, like a functioning game model, I'm going to probably, not that I'll reserve the right to have an oblong shaped eye. So let's go ahead and let's say append. Let's grab that eyeball here and we're just going to rotate that forward. And turn off that local symmetry so I don't mess something up. Oops, don't want to do that. Let's see if we can figure this out. So the eyes are going to be quite large. A standard size eye for a person, for a character, it's not going to be any wider than what you see. Okay, the opening of the eye, the width from corner to corner, it's really about the diameter of the eyeball itself. Pretty close, right? A little bit less because we got the tear duct and things like that clogging things up, but it's about that width. With this particular character, because these eyes are so huge, in order for them to also feel flat enough that they're not like bug-eyed, we need to make them large so that they can fit within the curvature of the face. Now I've got a couple of solutions that if we wanted to be able to have this character rigged at some point and movable and all that, we could have just a surface and we could either have an animated texture or we could have like a little piece that's made to slide over the surface of the eye. Different things, different options of things that could happen. Yeah. Yeah, Overwatch has always been like one of my absolute favorites because of style. Let's see, let's go ahead and we'll get this going. And this needs to go up to about right there. I'm going to need more resolution on this. Let's go ahead and hit that once. Just going to smooth that out some so that it's not so crazy. Definitely want to try to make sure that I'm maintaining straighter edges where I have straighter edges in my sketch. And then I'm going to kind of just keep playing with getting those angles in there. And I mean, so far that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I mean, it's gonna kind of, it needs to look at how far it needs to stretch though. Okay, so this is where we need to balance out what we see in the concept and what we see in the in the rest. Give me a second here. So the sculpt is interesting because we're getting like this shape here, which is, it's pretty close to what we're having happening over here. The margin's a little bit different, needs to move over a little bit further, whatever, right? In order for this cheek structure to hold up, that's going to be the most difficult aspect of this. Let's see, does that open it up enough? No. Let's kind of move that over, move that down. Okay. I think that might work for me. Now I just got to kind of true up these shapes, and hopefully we can kind of move forward in a nice sort of way. But yeah, it's just kind of a matter of figuring out like what's going to work. How do you balance that? How do you reconcile what's happening in the concept versus what the forms are that you need in order for it to come across nice and clean. It's always super hard getting these big-eyed characters to work. Since I've been really experimenting with these bigger eyes, I've gotten some formulaic type things that I like to try to do in order to get these size eyes to work. It's going to be really interesting with some of the other ones that I've done. I mean, some of the other characters that I've sketched and done in this style from Overwatch so far. I've done Roadhog and Junkrat, which, you know, Roadhog doesn't have any eyes, so that's so much easier, right? In theory. Yeah, let's go ahead and duplicate the eye. We'll move it over. Just so that this way we have, let's merge that down, just so that way we have both eyes. Okay, and that looks pretty decent. That's not bad. Oh, let's make sure to rename that too. Okay, this is gonna work, guys. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. It's not going to be perfect, but I think we can get this to work out nicely. Alright. So, one of the cool things that we can do is cry. We can all cry. Just kidding. I mean, we can. We can add color if we want to kind of help start planning and getting a better feel for what the character is actually going to look like. I'm trying to decide, like, I mean, at least in my sketch, Hanzo has quite a heavy brow. You can see like the way that kind of comes in, and it's very heavy. I don't want it to be heavy the whole way across because it doesn't feel right for the character. Okay. His particular structure, you can see like I kept it very intentionally, very I'll say plainer, very simple, very streamlined along the silhouette. But I can probably go ahead and kind of build something up over here. I'm going to try to build that up with an extra piece. So here's what we're going to do. Let's grab an extra piece. Delete lower, please. Classy. Okay. So here we go. We're going to grab. Let's use a little bit of AccuCurve action down in here. S'il te plaît. Si c'est bon. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. I'll probably put something in there in the middle too, but for right now, let's kind of keep it. It's a control. Oh, not that. Control D. one of the things I want to try to make sure of is I want to make sure that that stays wrapping around the structure. So, you know, it starts off pretty flat, but now I've tried to pull in the bottom and the top so that it keeps wrapping around the face as a whole. And now what I want to do, I'm going to do something like this. Stretch that out. Let me pull it back in a little bit. But you can see, like, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be kind of pulling this in. Ooh, something cool we can do. We can go ahead and we can use our focal shift to be able to drive some interesting bend in this geometry. That was so quick and easy. That was so quick and easy. Alright, I'm going to pull out a losange. Make it a little bit easier for myself to not die. It's like breathing in herbal tea. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's pull this in. This needs to kind of come up. This needs to start to flatten out more. So I really want to try to get this to feel like it's blending in at some point. Let me see if I can get some sort of something going on with like the opposite end of this. I feel like getting a little bit more of an overhang here will be helpful just for definition's sake. I kind of want a little bit more resolution just in this piece. So let's go ahead and let's hit Control D. That won't add a subdivision level, but it will subdivide what you have unmasked. So that's helpful. That's cool. So let's go ahead. We got this going. Cool. Okay, let's block in. Let's block in the beard or something. I don't know. I'm just wanting to try to start. Actually, probably ought to get onto that neck. You know, get something in here that actually feels representative of our boy Hanzo. Oh yeah, I gotta turn that focal shift all the way down. That's like one of the super cool things about the tools, that you can manipulate it so that it has a fall off with the gizmo now. But it's also tricky because it's like if you don't remember that you made that modification, then you're just, you know, a little bit sunk, right? Just kind of like, I forgot, right? Man, it might have been sick the last time I streamed too. Something wrong with me. Something wrong with me. All right, let's grab this. I'm going to use extender. Let's kind of extend that out. We'll say accept. And then we'll kind of pull this down. Okay, let's go back to our view. Make sure that we're getting it's gonna be a real thick neck. Real thick neck. Okay, pull that up into the head. We can pull this down. We can probably broaden it out a little bit too. Not the, oof, gosh. I hate it when that happens. Yes, we got that going on. We got this sort of going on. Okay, not too bad. I'm liking where this is going. Let's say uncrease all, because I don't need any creasing at all. Let's make sure we got a little bit more resolution to this piece so that it's not, you know, absolutely miserable. My thing's showing. I don't know if it's a news or notification. Unmute your microphone source in Mixer an hour ago. Okay. Well, I mean, I did. I'm unmuted, right? I am unmuted? Yeah, I think I am. It's funny. Anyway, it had a little warning. It's not really a big deal. It's just kind of funny that it had the warning at all. But yeah, definitely still trying to make sure that I'm not coughing in your ear. Again, just for anybody who wants to be able to have links, that's me. You can find anything that, you know, that's me there. Just a quick little plug. We're almost halfway through. We're about halfway through the stream, but just to kind of show you. Oh, hi. This is Brucey, which you might have seen down in the corner. And these are Brucey. I've got 500 of these guys waiting to meet you, and I'll actually have them available at Lightbox this year. I'm looking at a potential other few events. We'll see if we get into those or not. But yeah, that's kind of a big part. This has been a big career goal of mine, is getting my own toys made. I'm beyond elated to have them actually here and to touch them. I designed this, I sculpted this in ZBrush, which is fun. And I've done so many other things with it too. Like I actually went through and tried to design a magnet, which is fun. Like just like a nice little flat magnet. This is has no magnet in it, but it's a design for one, right? Anyway, fun stuff. Lots and lots of good stuff going on, and I can't wait to be able to share them with you all. So, if you want to, you know, kind of subscribe to my various channels, and you'll get updates and be able to see when stuff actually comes available. I'm hoping to set it up so that I can kind of ship and sell more than just in person, which will be on my website at some point. But I just haven't gotten to that point yet. You know, time is a thing. My segment is called No Spare Time, with very valid reason. Alright, let me see. I want to get... a lower lip in here. I might get an upper lip in there too, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll at least get the lower lip in there so we can figure out... Oh, I just turned off my symmetry somehow. Okay, so we can figure out... some other shape stuff. Cool, look at that. Look at that. That's going to be such a cool bottom lip. I'm just kidding. Let's grab... I doubt anybody actually believed me, but you know, it's just fun, right? You know, we tease. Okay, let's kind of play with that. So I know a couple of things that I want to change. Okay, I want to change that angle. I want to make him so that he looks a little bit less grumpy. And I want to make sure that that lip has a little bit more substance. You can see, like, just by the way that I've got like this angle here, it's these little apexes to that curve for the bottom of the lip. I want to make sure that I'm getting kind of those forms in there, that structure. Okay, so we get something kind of like that, something kind of like that. In fact, I want this to be like the lower, you know, like that the fleshy mass that some people have underneath their lower lip. I want that to be quite a bit more pronounced. This may not be canon, but it is on my version. So I want to try to like widen this and kind of pull that down some. But then I also want to try to keep the lip a little bit more compact. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to like pull this flesh out just a little bit. Kind of check it and see where we're at. Okay, the lip itself is too wide. So here's what we're going to do. Here's a trick, guys. And I use this a lot. So with the select lasso, you just control shift click on an edge loop and that'll hide that whole edge loop. Super nice. Super helpful. And I got a cough. Okay. So now this is going to allow me to have this section be very tight. Now I can invert it. I want that to actually be fairly. I'm gonna try it. I'm trying this thing here, right? Which does feel a little bit too sharp. Well, like too sharp in the wrong ways. I'm going to kind of refine that shape. Let's kind of smooth this out just a smidge. I want to take my smooth intensity down just a little bit. Okay. That looks a little weird. I don't know, we'll just kind of like even that out just a little bit. Yeah. Not bad, see? It's not bad. I'm not 1000% sold on everything that I've got going on here. We'll get there though. Okay, let's bring my smooth intensity back up so I can get a little bit more power through here. Alright. Let's save that so we don't lose it. My one of my best buds, Quentin, he's always he used to always be on here, cheering me on and reminded me to save. He moved back east again recently, and so I haven't seen him in a little bit. But he used to always remind me to save, and he's not on here right now, so I've got to remind myself. Oh, look at that. I have no idea how those became the same. Look at that. get something like this going on. Just gonna kind of like pull that in. Okay, it's starting to go somewhere. It's starting to go somewhere. Man. Man. Okay. Okay. Ah, that's right. Gotta make sure things stay their own groups. Cool. All right. This is getting good, guys. This is getting good. So let's go ahead. I'm going to try to like take this. Let's expand into blocking in hair and things like that. One of the things that I'll do. So let's just kind of like take this. I'm going to say deformation, and instead of just going in one direction, we're going to go ahead and do it in the Y direction. Kind of bring it back into place. Now he looks like super different, but he has an upper lip. So one of the things that I'll do is I'll kind of like change the rotation a little bit so that it's a little bit more of like a downward facing. It doesn't need to be maybe quite as deep. So I'll kind of pull that over like that. Make it a little bit more wide there. Okay, so there is his upper lip. Oh gosh, come on, there we go. I want to make sure that this doesn't create a weird, awkward shelf. Which, you know, it will kind of for a bit. That's fine, not a big deal. It'll get fixed later, but we'll get there. Now, one of the coolest things that we can do, I don't want to go through and like guess at my color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Z to activate my my spotlight, and I can come over to my image, hover over it, and hit C, and that's going to pick the exact color from the concept. Notice that it's darker than what we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is, you know, it's see-through, so it's picking up the gray in the background. But when we're sampling, it's sampling from the spotlight image itself, not from what we see on the screen. So this is the actual color from the actual spotlight. So super cool. I super appreciate that bit there. So I'm going to say color, fill object, and we'll keep going. Let me see. There's so many things that we can go through and do. Let's start with the next door neighbor's got a dog, and it is such a noisy dog. Like the neighborhood was insanely quiet and whatnot when we moved in, and and then they got the dog, and so now it's all super loud. But but it's only that dog being loud. It's like the neighbors on the other side have got a dog too, but it's a very quiet, very playful dog, a very quiet dog. Spends most of its time indoors. There's a Great Dane on the corner, and we don't hear that at all. Super quiet people. But this dog is like, I don't know if it's just like nervous about everything, because it'll bark at nothing. It's like, don't know what to do for it. Yeah, it makes it hard to, you know, enjoy the peace of my own home, because, or the peaceful neighborhood that we, you know, that we, you know, we're excited to be in. You know, it's like this life. I know I'm going through and doing like a whole bunch of like super simple tweaks. Let's go through and make sure this is filled in. Hopefully it's not too boring. Here's what we're gonna do. So gotta make sure that this is hitting that shape. And then that corner is not hitting the shape. So let's grab that AccuCurve. I'm trying to keep that shape as simple as possible. It's not going to stay perfectly the way that I wanted it, I don't think. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to like rework what I'm getting here to at least get a fairly simple shape. So it's like not a complex break, but gives me a little bit of a you know, like a simple shape, but like with like a simple little like dip in there. Hey, thanks for coming and hanging out. Man. Alright. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's get some hair elements blocked in here. Let's say something like this. Let's grab our polysphere. And we're going to play with this taper here. Ya pues. Taper. Okay. Yes, we got that going on. We got that going on. And that's going to be a good shape for us to use to create these different pieces here in the beard. I don't need it to be anything too crazy for the moment, but I do want to make sure that this is its own separate piece. So I'm going to go ahead and say subtool split, split unmasked, and I'm going to take this to the bottom here. I'm going to say beard. In fact, I can even duplicate that. Call that hair. Let's go ahead and grab that hair color. Make sure that both of those are kind of filled in there. Okay, go down to the beard. And let's start placing and manipulating and doing cool stuff with this. Okay. So we got something kind of like that going on. Let's go ahead and we'll kind of shrink this down, kind of place it. Now the beard is not going to be perfectly symmetrical or anything like that. So it's one of those things that I could go through very easily and just place things individually. I don't have to worry too much about keeping things exactly the same and whatnot. Not 100% sure how I want this to interface with the face. In fact, it might be worth going through and having like an extra little beat here just for the sake of making sure that I'm getting that silhouette break. That could be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie though, like this kind of beard on that kind of face, like he looks like a bad guy. Poor Hanzo. Well, I mean the Shimada clan is crime syndicate, so you know. Not to say that he's a criminal. He just comes from a shady family. Oh, that's right. Okay, kind of pull that over. So now I got to come over to deformation, make sure that mirror is set properly. It's like autosave always comes in at the least convenient time. But at least it comes in, right? Okay, I'm gonna try to like play with the way that these pieces intersect. I want to try to get like a little bit of that separation here. I thought that had a little bit more to it. Does now. Cool. So let's go ahead and we'll grab like the bottom. We'll just kind of pull this in. Maybe not the most clean or controlled, but we're just gonna kind of try to make things happen rather than that little dinky bit up there for his hair is just kind of funny. Let's draw out a mustache. Now for this, I'm going to actually use the topology brush. I feel like that's going to be the easiest way. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, and I want to draw it out like over this way, so I don't have to worry about. So I don't really have to worry about much of anything, right? I want to make sure that it's not welding together anywhere that I don't want it to. Give me a second. All right. So by modeling them apart, it makes it a lot easier for me to control it later. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have this part go across here, like that. Let's do something kind of like that. And yeah, sure, I'll leave my brush with some thickness there. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll say split, unmasked. Mustache. Okay, this looks very menacing as is. In fact, I don't really like how that's kind of divvied out, but we'll get there at some point. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's grab this. We're gonna make it bigger. We're gonna bring it closer. And then let's start mushing it into place. Now, it is for this precise reason that I have started growing out my own mustache. Just kidding. Yeah, no, just trying to be silly. So here's what we're gonna do. We're trying to look at this. I do want, like in my concept, I have this going down a little bit lower. I do have the mustache itself overlapping the lip. So I'm going to try to uphold that. This is going to be kind of a nightmare to play with if I'm not careful. This top part is where I want to make sure that I'm getting, you know, not too out there. I want it to kind of be buried in the face a little bit, just so it helps to create that slope, that slant that I want to the structure of that upper lip. Ugh, hold on. Yeah, I really like being able to use things like the topology brush. It's extremely handy. Um, I use it all the time. That's why I was like, where did the next point go? It's okay. Well, the brain will turn on at some point, you know. It's just the way that it goes. Okay, let me see. It's almost 9:30. My time, anyway. What time is everybody else at? Anybody else in Pacific time? Anybody exactly 12 hours ahead of me? Anybody else at 9:27 in the evening? Because that could be kind of interesting. I've never actually looked though. I don't know I don't know what would fall underneath that time zone. That's pretty interesting to think about. Since I already have this started, and it kind of fits the idea of the hair anyway. Dynamic sub D, super helpful. I use it a lot, and the things that I've got like a couple different ways that I like to use it. I'm not using it currently, but it's a great way to be able to get a preview of a mesh as if it had been smoothed. Preview of a mesh as if it had been smoothed without having to actually add geometry. It looks really nice. It works really well, and it allows you to work with creasing to be able to control the shape rather than having to add support edges. So that's really cool. I don't particularly have a reason to make that happen yet in this model, so I'm not going to dive into it like actually doing it at the moment. But super helpful, and I do use it a lot. The other thing that I'll use it for all the time, and I mean all the time, is with clothing. And when I want to be able to add thickness to something without it actually having thickness, so that way I can, with the instance of clothing, I can work with the clothing and have it have that thickness to it without having to worry about the thickness disappearing or diminishing or overlapping. Super helpful. So those are like my two main ways of being able to use dynamic sub D. And you can see it too, like looking in at this, we got the dynamic subdivisions. We turn this on. We have the smooth subdiv, which is going to be the number of times it's going to smooth. And then we have the thickness right here, which you can change the offset for. The offset is super handy because it allows it to go out or in. It's going to, by default, be in the middle, so it's going to be equal amounts out and in from that point. It's really cool. I super recommend, if you haven't, definitely check it out. Play around with it, get a good feel for it. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my quick spiel on dynamic subdiv. Now what's cool is that you can control the amount of creasing. So like for instance, the dynamic subdiv smooth amount here, if you turn this to 2, it means it's going to go up 2 subdivision levels. Not really, just visually. Now one thing that's really neat is if we come over here to crease, you can see that crease level is set to 15, which means that it's going to have to be subdivided 15 times before that creased edge starts to smooth out. Now if we do it differently and you take it down to like 2, that means it's going to go to a subdivision level of 2 before it starts smoothing out. So if we have it at 2 and we have this at 2, that crease is going to hold tight. But if we have this at 2 and we have the smooth subdiv higher, then it's going to hold that crease until level 2 and start smoothing out at 3. So it's going to start to have like a little bit of a softened edge. Let's do a quick example because this is super cool. This is a really neat technique. Let's do this. I'm gonna say let's take this all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to say initialize cube. Okay, so here's an example of a cube. This is, let's just to be able to see the settings. We got geometry. We have our dynamic set to 2. Okay, and then we have our crease set to 2 as well. Okay, I'm gonna set that up to 15 just so we can see the difference. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say crease PG to be able to crease the polygroups, and you can see how sharp those edges are. Really sharp. It does still have the dynamic subdivisions turned on, and you'll notice that like if I turn that off, it still looks exactly the same. Okay, it's holding those creases until we get to the subdivision level 15. I don't want to get it that high. Nobody's really ever going to take it that high. So what we're going to do is I have the crease there. I'm going to change my crease level down to, so you see at 2, it's starting to smooth out. At 3, it's going to hold sharp. Okay, so 3, these two match. Take it down to 2, it starts to smooth out. So now you can see it's not like a nice smoothness right there, but if we start adding more smooth subdivisions, it's going to start to really round out the corners of that cube and make it look, pretty nice. I really like being able to play with this sort of stuff. So same thing, if I take this down to a 1, it's going to hold its crease until subdivision level 1. Oh, sorry, 1. And then it's going to start smoothing out. If it's going to be 4, you can see like that's holding that corner much nicer. And, as we add subdivision levels, that'll make it so much smoother and look super nice. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we're doing, and we're still only using 26 active points. Noise occurred. Sorry, I might have hit the microphone. But yeah, really cool little technique. I use it a lot, but I'm going to delete that. Clicking coming from the camera. I don't think there's anything coming from the camera. There's only the one sound device, but it might be my my losange. I keep moving that around. But yeah, of course. Okay. This is going to be interesting. Let me see. I'm going to say Control-Shift-D again. Just for the sake of being able to test something out. You know what? It might be better to actually take this over to the other side. I try to reuse pieces as often as possible when I'm blocking something in, just because it's more about the exploration at this stage than it is about anything else. You see, say color, fill object. Still looks super weird. I was hoping to get a little bit further than this, but I don't think we're going to. At least not a whole lot further than this, if anything. Alright. Alright. Something like that for now. Something like that ish for now. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I want to have the same thing on both sides, at least more or less. So let's say mirror and weld. Okay, that's helpful. I'm going to come over here, and I don't want to like copy everything necessarily, but I do want to make sure that I'm getting my hair block-in pieces back here. This should hopefully help him feel a little bit more finished. I'm trying to add like a subdivision level, or like, you know, smooth it out a little or two, time or two, something like that. Starting to go somewhere. It's weird. It's weird that sounds happen, because like there's literally nothing happening here. Okay, so currently, let's go ahead and hit save so we don't lose it. Okay, look at how off, how misaligned that hairline is. Let's take this. I'm gonna pull this forward, like heavy forward. That might be too much on this angle right here, but we'll play with that as we get around. Let's see. Let's test that out again. A little bit better. You'll notice that like I'm not trying to take this and move this off to the side. I'm still trying to decide. Maybe I will. Just kind of take that, move that off a little bit. Let's grab this bit, kind of widen that out some. Let's take that, make that some level of cool more, you know. Kind of cover up some of that baldness, that male pattern baldness that is very unbecoming of a Shimada. I mean, could you imagine what Genji would say? We'll have to get another piece in over here at some point. I think I will. I think I'm going to kind of cheat this in 3D to better match the 2D. This is going to have like the little sprig coming off the side here. So we got something like that going on. I'm going to grab this. Let's kind of give it a little bit of a re-rotating here. It's funny, like at work, I started. If you guys remember, and you've been around with me for a while, um, when I was at DreamWorks, I helped run this no spare time. Well, we didn't call it no spare time challenge then. Um, no spare time is a name that I invented for it when I was at um, Imagineering. But I run this creative challenge, and I started it up at well, for now on Overwatch. I haven't wanted to branch out yet to other groups, but just yet, I don't know. It might be something I change at some point. We'll see. Um, but just kind of a fun creative challenge for the sake of being able to push creativity with whatever limited time someone may have. Um, and it's fun. It's all about just trying to take a theme and just run with it as much as you can. You know what? I'm just gonna try to like make it bigger. Um, it's like the theme from this month is beach, and um, I mean, I did do something beach themed, but as part of work, so it's not something I can show you yet. Here, let me see. This needs to be turned on, and then this needs to be turned off. But yeah, it should be fun. Any medium. If you want to do something, then yeah, have at it. Um, I haven't let anybody on my Discord channel know because I have not been active with Discord at all for a long time. I am not very good at handling Discord. Just so many messages, and everybody that I know is like super involved with Discord. I just can't keep up. I just can't keep up. Then I just get exhausted trying to keep up with messages, you know? It's just wild. I want to change where that plane change is happening. I don't want it to happen so prominently. This is gonna be so cool, guys. Like, it's starting to get somewhere. It's still super not great. But it's just part of the process. It's kind of funny if you think about like the that being the middle of the pupil. It's way off center, right? Definitely not going to be the center of the pupil. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to, again, with my topology brush, I love the topology brush, turn on symmetry, and I'm just going to freehand this shape on here. Notice it's not a circle. That's very intentional. Cool. I'm going to call that good for now. But this time I'm going to take my draw size down to 1 and commit. And I got a cough again, guys. Poof. All right. Split to unmasked. Okay, now this is a time where I might choose to use my dynamic, right? My dynamic subdiv. So I'll turn that on, I'll turn off smooth, and I'll turn up thickness. And I can change my offset to 100 so that it's starting to show through in the positive direction. It's still like super low res, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to add in some edge loops around here. I am trying to be somewhat intentional with the way that I distribute these vertices. I want to try to make a very organic sort of shape. And we'll see soon enough whether or not this is actually working the way that we want. But let's kind of pull this out just a smidge. Actually, instead of pulling that out, let's take these and we'll just push them in a smidge. Just make sure to kind of keep track of what we can account for there. Okay, let's make sure to grab that eye color here so that we can make this its right color. I do want to try to make that iris kind of go off kind of more of a straight sort of shape. As you can kind of see the way that I have it in my sketch, like it's very particular the way that I have that designated. Do something kind of like this. It'll be interesting if we can get this working. And I do also want to make sure that I can get all of this worked out. So I want to make sure that I'm getting this kind of angled in here like this, you know, so we'll get that green piece to be a little bit more cozy in there. And then I'll make this piece. Let's go ahead and make sure that these are different polygroups. I'll make sure that these are different polygroups. Here's what we'll do. I'll grab this again with the focal shift, I'll just take this and then we'll just kind of twist it, kind of pull it down. Didn't do quite the job I wanted, but that's okay. We can fix it by hand. We can fix it by hand. We be barbers today. Check us out. Watch me work. Got this going on, yeah. We got it, we got it, we got it. Okay. Okay, these look like they're lining up. They look like, yeah, so this definitely needs to kind of come back. Cool, so that's working. I'm gonna just actually paint this for the sake of simplicity. Let's grab the color from the pupil here. I'm not liking the shape of the iris so far, so we gotta kind of tweak that. And I think it's gonna have to come from possibly both sides here, but and I don't think that color is quite deep enough. Yeah, let's try to pick from a place that feels a little less. Let's get that paintbrush again. That feels a little bit better. I just didn't want it to feel so I don't know, it's like saturated. It was weird. It was weird. Yeah, like you can see like it's a little bit more blue. Now it's a little bit more turquoise. It should just make it a little bit less distracting for now. Maybe. It's also a little bit hard with the way that this shape is rolling out. So I'm just going to add a subdivision level here, just so I can kind of make sure that that's pulling through the way that I want. Now, this may or may not actually end up being my final shape. And I may end up going through and projecting this as color onto the onto the actual eyeball piece. But for now, we're going to have that. Okay, let me see. We're up on time. I want to check real quick just to make sure that that I know. It's just another plug for myself. Yeah, go ahead and I'll pop this in there, just in case anybody wants to be able to get to my links, to be able to check our calendar later today at 12. Okay, so we got a little bit of time. George's artist from Egypt. I didn't realize he was from Egypt. The dude's amazing. He does some really cool character blockouts and stuff like that. He has a really good feel for stylized anatomy. He's neat. I like his stuff. And then on Monday we got Eric Keller. He's phenomenal. He does some really cool nature creatures and bugs and things like that. Super cool. So that's what's coming up later today. We got a little bit, so I'm gonna kind of keep playing around for now. And I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll try to try to get his ponytail blocked in, maybe get the shape, the overall shape of the hair a little bit more refined so it doesn't look so dumb. Ha. And then I'll get the little spriggy over here with the eyebrows, maybe eyelashes, and then we'll call it done. For now. All right. Yeah, because there's definitely a long, long way to go, and I definitely don't have a long, long time to do it. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab the curve tubes. I want to make sure I always come over here to the modifiers, and I should go ahead by now and just replace this brush with this brush. I like to make it an 8, okay, and that's my main thing. Underneath stroke, I like to make sure also that have my curve step up to 1. I don't need it to be 0.5. Essentially, it's going to be with 0.5. It's going to be adding in twice as much resolution as your brush size gives you separations for. So, like for instance, if I drag this out, you can see each of these little segments, the red, the black, the red, the black. At 0.5, it's going to be giving you an extra subdivision on that curve than, you know, with the one's going to be 1 to 1. You know, with every segment, it's going to be a full piece of fun. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab this, and oh, I need to make sure also that I get the size turned on. I do want it to go down pretty small, but maybe not down to nil. I'm going to try to like actually keep a pretty rigid shape. I want these to be, you know, you can see it's getting thicker, thicker, and then narrow. So I'm going to try this. Make sure I have symmetry turned on. Okay, so this didn't quite orient the way that I wanted, which is fine. Oh, it's interesting that didn't go. That's funny. Okay, so let's say subtool, let's say split unmasked points, just so that we can make sure that we have this eyelashes. The issue was that I had the local symmetry turned on, and so that was giving me kind of, you can see how this is offset from where this is at. So now I need to make sure, I mean, I might have to mirror it first, but we'll see. Yeah, I have to mirror it first. So I'll come down here, I'll hit mirror, and then I'll hit mirror and weld, and now we're back up to being, you know, all aces. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to grab this. Okay, very cool. I'm just going to try to like play with straightening out these shapes. The shape itself is going to be very important for making this read right, right? The eyelash is framing the eye, and I want to make sure that it is, you know, as much what I want as possible. And I'm going to prioritize the close eye because that's, you know, that's the one I can see. One of the things that I can try to do as well is give a little bit of a unleash the dragon. Anyway, it's fun. It's fun getting to this sort of stage. The eyelash is not making the right shape so far. Yeah, you can see that. Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna fix this, fix this. I'm gonna pull this out some so that it's not so buried. Or as they said in my hometown, buried. Let's see, this needs to come out further. Now, one of the things I need to make a decision on is that right now, that eyelash is going like way past the actual eye. I think it feels a little bit goofy having it like that, and it definitely doesn't look good right there. So what I want to do, here, let's leave that there. But what I want to do is let's grab this section. Oops, let's turn local symmetry back on. I'm gonna call that kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it. I like it. It's still feeling a little bit like chunky if I look at the opposite side, which you know will look the same from each side. But I could probably fix that by doing something like this. Just grab this and grab this. We'll just kind of play with that curve a little bit. Let's grab this. And we'll just kind of pull that in some so that it feels more like a shelf rather than a tube. Not bad. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it. Alright, now let's try to get same sort of idea, but on the bottom. Okay, now with this, I wanna like narrow it out on the end. I'll do that manually rather than relying on the curve itself. I'm just slowly going through and kind of tapping on the geometry with smooth. It works nicely. Okay, I'm going to add another subdivision here, and then I'm going to add mostly just out of playing, but trying to figure this out. It makes him feel too old though. Here's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead, we'll add in, but I might want to do that as geo, kind of like what I do with the brow up here. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna actually grab this. I'm gonna pull it down. And then, actually I'm gonna switch sides. Let's invert it, give it its own polygroup. I switched sides because I felt like the shape that I had right here would be a little bit more conducted to like this shape. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's do this. Bring this in. We'll angle this. Let's see how we can get this to work. Okay, so I'm going to first start off by getting like a more general sort of shape. So we got this going on. I gotta turn off that select lasso. Like, it's helpful when it's helpful, but if it's not, it's just kind of a pain. Yeah, it looks like super old. So like a big part of what we're going to want to do is make sure that this feels a lot more streamlined to the rest of the face. Kind of pull this out here, but we're going to pull this up. I do feel like it's a little bit too heavy-handed right there, so we're just gonna try to tinker with this until it feels streamlined enough. He feels super old. It's like it's just too much. Let's see. I'm gonna hit Control H just to be able to hide the mask and see what I'm doing a little bit better. I think a lot of this is just because it's so blobby, it's so soft, rather than being a clearly defined plane change. I think that the nice plane change would work nicely. Makes sense, right? That's going to be a little bit tricky. Let's see if we can get this to. That was weird. Oh my goodness. Give me a second. That cough just won't quit. Whew. I'm gonna come over here. Let's get some other colors to this man's face. Try to just add some general coloring to make it feel a little less dead. That already feels a little bit better. Okay. Okay. So let's see. I want this to kind of come a little bit more up to about right there so that it meets up with the bottom of the ear. Okay, let's see if we can play with this shape a little bit here. Oh. Try to make sure this doesn't feel too dipped right there, especially while this side doesn't feel dipped enough. Like, one of the things that I want to do is make sure that this all feels a little bit more even. Okay, I can do that in this sort of way where I'm just going over it with the trim dynamic and just kind of flattening things together. If I look at it from the inside, though, you can see like it super caves everything in, which, you know, is not great. You can just hit it with a little bit of backface smoothing, just so I can get that smoothed out without having to worry about the what's on behind it. And yeah, you know, that feels better. At least it's holding the shape. Okay, so I'll keep that for now. We'll call it all right, and let's keep moving along. Let's get that little sprig on there, the eyebrows, and maybe the ponytail. I feel like, let's do the eyebrows first, because the eyebrows are going to be part of what makes this feel a little bit more human. Here, I'm going to grab the... Can you just grab the right thing? Let's see. Like, one of the things that you can do to be able to select a different subtool is you hold Alt and you click on it. It didn't want to do that for me for a second. I was like, come on. I thought we were pals. I thought we were pals. I'm just going to kind of like draw it on more or less. And then we'll just boom, 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 boom. Sure, another boom. And then I'm going to, same thing, I'm just going to commit it without thickness. Take my draw size all the way down. Say split unmasked. Okay, grab that color. In fact, we'll say color fill object. I'm going to say, just for the sake of being able to give myself a little bit of thickness, let's turn this on, turn off the smoothness, turn up thickness. We'll say turn up the offset too. Okay, you notice that like it doesn't feel right yet, right? Lots to kind of work on to get this to feel right. A lot of it has to do with like the thicks and the thins. A lot of it has to do with placement. Maybe not that thick. But yeah, just trying to play around with different things. One of the things that we did on several of the characters, maybe not all the characters, on Eyes of Wakanda, is we would take it so that the a couple of things, because like you think about the way that the eyebrow hairs grow, they kind of like grow from the edge and or like from the outside silhouette shape, and they grow toward the inside, and they all kind of like funnel into the middle. So part of what I did for my characters is I did um, like a central ridge that would help to create kind of that plane change in the eyebrow. Give me a second here. And then um, we would try to make sure that the silhouette edges were kind of right along the edge of the skin and actually touching the skin. You know what? I think that this is a big part of what's making this guy feel too old. That already feels much, much nicer. I mean, I still think I need to do something with that, but we'll get to it at some point. Um, but yeah, so we get like those outer edges to be as close to that skin surface as possible. Um, now, oh my goodness. Someday, someday I will stop coughing. Whew. Oops, I hate it when I do that. Okay. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So I've got those eyebrows, and they're like roughly blocked in now. I do want them to kind of like come off of his head a little bit. And I'm not entirely sure how I want to. Yeah, I want this to kind of like base into the brow a little bit here, and then to kind of like taper out here at the top. Okay, it's still a little bit too thick, so I'm going to try to like take down some of the thickness here. It's kind of odd. Like you look at it from one side, and it's like this side is working, the other side is not quite as elevated. So it's one of those things where I have to kind of find a middle ground. Maybe pull it in just a little bit here too. Oh, I'm liking how this is turning out though, and I'm impressed that this is looking this way after such a short period of time working on it too. Um, it's like that's one of the things. It's like I mean I did the legwork of working out my design beforehand, right? I've got my drawing that I did. Um, I understand more or less what it is that is happening with him, um, and I have, you know, I've worked with characters like this in the past, right? Like I do this for fun. But it's still so hard to to work out. So it's always fun when the character starts working out. Especially, like I said, after such a short period of time working on it. The beard is going to need some work. He needs beard coming along here. Which is fine. I won't worry about that right now, though. Let's see about getting that little sprig that kind of comes off the front here. And that'll be just blocked in. How do I want to... Yeah, let's do it this way. Let's say delete hidden. And then what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that this has enough resolution to be able to bend around. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and say, let's kind of fix the shape just a little bit. And then let's use this. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do this, and then we're going to go this, and then we're going to say polish by groups. I was expecting that to go flatter. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we got that going on. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and let's add in another couple of subdivisions here. We'll delete the subdivisions so that we can use the gizmo deformers just nicely. And let's make sure we got this going and aligned with our piece here. Cool. Okay, so now this is where the stuff happened. This is where the stuff happens. This is where the magic happens. Okay, we got this nice, beautiful tool here. I'm going to say let's add something like that. I'm going to put this in here like that. Going to put this over here like that. Going to put this way down here like that. Something. You know, we'll get this kind of situated little by little, right? Now what's cool is that each of these comes with its own set of deformers. We have scale, which we can go through and kind of control, give it a little bit more thickness. We have squeeze, and we have twist. Okay, so I want... Let's keep this about how it is. I'm going to pull this over here like this, maybe pull this, pull this. See if we can get more or less that shape. I got pretty close without even having to do anything. Let's go ahead over here to the scale. We'll kind of scale that down. This is a little bit big, so maybe we just come over here and kind of scale that down a little bit. And that feels pretty good. So that's nice. One thing I do want to do is, like you can see, like with that shape, it feels very flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of these points and we're going to twist them. So we got this going on. Just say accept. And then we can start kind of working out the main shapes. Okay. Now with a lot of these bits here, we're going to want to try to refine this, reform this. Let's grab AccuCurve. Boom. This section needs to expand out a bit, but that's fine. We got this. Not 100% pleased with that, but we'll make something more final at some point. Hair is one of those topics that's always difficult to cover, especially completely in a stream, because it's just such a profound subject. But you always want to think of a couple of principles. You want to think about flow, where it's coming from, where it's going to, and what's affecting the flow. Because there will always be contributing factors. There'll be things like gravity, there'll be wind, there will be movement, like the character's movement. The hair could be wet. Lots and lots of things going into what's making the hair shape and movement and everything work. Here, let's just go ahead and do something like this. So we got that going on. That's pretty equal on both sides. That's not looking too bad. That is not looking too bad at all. Yeah, I'm the best at the elbow cough. Except that usually I cough in like the back of my wrist. Whatever. Trying to get my kids to do that sometimes too, you know. It's unbelievable how common it is for to me to see people cough straight into their hand, because that's the stuff that interacts with everything around you. So it always makes me a little bit nervous around people when I see that, where it's like they're coughing and they're like huh, 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 and I'm just like, you're about to touch something that I'm about to touch. Please be more careful. Okay, I'm going to say let's delete lower. I want to add that that outer bit right here. Oh, for some reason I thought that was the okay then. Okay, so that's cool. Now it's too even of a line, so one of the things I'm going to do, And I'm gonna hope that this works the way that I want it to. Yeah, that should work out beautifully. Look at that. Give myself like a varied line thickness there. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, let me see. I want to try playing with this nose a little bit because this is not the nose that I want it to have. Oh, I don't want that to be the nose that he has either, but he kind of looks like a fish person now. That's kind of cool. Say split hidden. Okay. Trying not to die. All right. So while what we have here, I'm gonna just give it an extra level of resolution. I want to try playing with some plane changes. The nose is, in my mind, pretty pivotal for this particular character. It's not the same as the typical Hanzo nose, but I really like it. So here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to get some of this in here, and I'll probably just play with some different plane change effects. Trying to get some of this going on in here. That's looking pretty cool. Okay. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I'll take it. Look at that. Real quick, we had a nose. Boom. I'm not going to worry about really like in-depth sculpting much of anything else right now. There's not a ton of time for it. So, and like we did with everything else, let's go ahead and let's duplicate this out. Bring this over into the right zone. Let's make sure it's pointing in the right direction. And then we'll just kind of like zoom it up. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Practically perfect in every way. Try to take this away from here just a little bit. Oh, I wasn't expecting that to rotate everything at the same time, because of course because of course I haven't changed anything about anything yet. Let's go ahead and kind of smooth that in so that it's a little bit easier of a shape to work with. Let's kind of pull that out. scale that out some. I know I got quiet. I can never get so quiet that people will wonder if I'm still there, though. I actually really like that shape. I still think I want to kind of like finish filling things in a little bit down here, but I really like how that looks. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this and let's angle this. Let's kind of flip it around. I want to make sure that that's its own polygroup. Kind of wish it had turned orange instead of just another green. Like, I love green, but I mean, that's kind of interesting. Now, there are a few things happening that I'm going to want to work out at some point. Like you can see, I definitely cared more about like the 3/4 and front view than I cared about the side view. And there are some things happening design-wise that I don't like. For instance, I've got like this weird, like, you can see, I mean, I don't mind this lower half up to the nose. The eye area and this cheek right here, I want to refine that. I don't like how this the eyeball itself is lining up with the brow, and I don't like how much the brow is kind of protruding, and then it's like the forehead just doesn't exist. Whereas I feel like in my concept, it feels like everything kind of comes a little bit further forward. So one way that I have to be able to fix that is to just scrap it and start over. No, I'm just kidding. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here real quick, transpose master. Let's kick into this. Wow, it got dark. Okay. So here's something I want to do. I don't want to move the eyeball. If I move the eyeball, unless it's like just moving it in a little bit, it could screw up a whole bunch of different things. What I do want to do is I want to grab this. Let's grab infinite depth. Let's say AccuCurve. And I want to say, yeah, he really does look like a fish man without his nose. I'm going to kind of like pull this forward. So this way he's got like a little bit more of a shelf, right? The other thing I want to do is turn off AccuCurve. Let's kind of diminish some of this just to kind of streamline this shape. Okay, just trying to make sure that I'm getting some good symmetrical working in here. Okay, let's bring everything back. That's looking a little bit nicer. I have to fix the eyebrows and the hair, but that's fine. I was expecting to. Okay, I'm going to kind of like peel this back a little bit. I'll have to work on the eyebrow mostly when I get back into the other view, but that looks significantly better than it did. I want to play with this brow here a little bit. I feel like this segment here is still just like protruding way too much here. I'm just going to kind of like smooth that down some. I just kind of want to like streamline this segment, this portion, because I feel like if I have it too lumpy, it'll really contribute to him feeling so much older than he's supposed to be. Which, you know, granted, he's, you know, he's older than me. I think he's supposed to be pushing 50. Just to make sure that I am not wrong, though. Let me see. Hanzo Shimada. Oh, he's age 40, so he's younger than, whoops. Don't tell him I said that. Go into an existential crisis. Okay, so still lots of stuff that I could go through, tweak, refine, add. I still need to add in, like, you know, torso and things like that, but you know, this is nice. Alright, let's have this. Let's have this. That feels much cooler. It's not perfect, but definitely a lot nicer. And I think one of the things that's helpful to me is that it's starting to feel a little bit more like an actual character, which is always helpful. You know, it's always, you know, when you're developing something, you know, to see it start to become something like that's the gold. I want to call that good for today. I've already long stayed past my my time anyway. Thanks for coming and hanging out, guys. I know there were a few of us today, but you know, I had fun. I just kind of wanted to jump in, have some fun. Again, for those of you who are interested in being able to check out my links, I went ahead and left them in the chat. And I'll see you next time I see you. Go play Overwatch. Bye, guys. Peace.